Is your pussy wet or nah? Hey, my name is ATIYA, and this is my show. Sometimes I talk like this. I'm an animal rights activist, I'm pleasure positive, vegan, love animals, I own a hair and a skincare company, I do shit like this, and I'm here to teach you how to love yourself and love life. Hey beautiful souls, it's me and my wig, here to talk all about lubrication. Now, you know I love to talk, so we're just gonna dive in. I feel like there's a common misconception, so I'd like to start this video by ending the shame and stigma regarding lube. I think there's the stigma that if you use lubrication during sex, that you don't have a wet pussy or a wet enough pussy, or that, you know, your vagina's broken, or that even as a partner, like you're not training your partner on enough. Now, granted, there are certain circumstances to where, yes, there can be certain things that can affect your own personal lubrication, but lubrication wasn't created to replace someone's natural lubrication. It was actually created to help enhance one's sexual experience, no matter how naturally lubricated you may be. But I just want to make sure that I reiterate, you can naturally lubricate and still use lube. Like, repeat after me. I can naturally lubricate and still use lube. And if my body is not able to naturally lubricate, it is okay and I am not broken. First things first, let's talk about what lube is. Lube is a liquid or a gel type material that you can use during sexual intercourse regarding vaginal sex, anal sex, and masturbation. There are also multiple kinds of lubes. There's water-based lubes, oil-based lubes, silicone lubes, and hybrid lubes. I've also seen some with aloe as well, which chef's kiss, like whoever came up with that, thank you. Now, it is very important to choose the correct lube for the correct situation, because certain sex toys, for instance, certain silicone sex toys cannot quite work well or can be actually damaged if you use silicone lube. So it's very important to read the instructions when you buy your sex toys and when you buy your lubrications to see what should go with what. 9 times out of 10, I recommend water-based lubes, but to each its own, and I'll be giving some suggestions once again at the end to let you know some of my favorite personal lubes to use. One more note, if you are a person with a vulva, it is very, 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 very important that the lube that you choose was created carefully and considerately when it comes to your pH. Our pH as women or as people with vulvas can be so disrupted by the smallest things. For instance, wearing a wet bathing suit bottom for too long. So the proper pH to have for your vagina would be 3.8 to 5, okay? So that is the range of acidity when it comes to the pH balance of our vages. Some studies also say that your vagina pH should be a 3.5 to a 4.5. Some people say a 4.8 to a 3.1. It's like too much. So just use your judgment, but know that it's somewhere between the range of 3.5 and 5. To each vulva its own. Now, why do we even want to use lube, right? When it comes to sex, sex has friction, right? Especially penetrative sex, anal sex, there's friction. So you want to make sure that you are easing that friction with the lubrication. And it can just become so much more of a pleasurable experience. It can also help reduce the risk of injury. Also, a lot of the reasons why condoms break are because of friction and because of a lack of lubrication. So if you want to try to close the gap of risk of your condom breaking, lubrication is key, and adding extra lube is definitely key. A study was done in 2009, so you know, like I said, when it comes to women, it's really outdated information, but 70% of women said that they orgasmed and had a more pleasurable experience when they were using lubrication, additional lubrication, as opposed to just their natural secretions. Now, not all lubes are made with love, so we want to make sure that we are avoiding certain kinds of chemicals and other ingredients. Let me go to my handy dandy laptop, and let you know some of the ingredients that you should avoid when it comes to lube. Number 1, glycerin. First of all, glycerin is made of animal fat, so ugh. Number 2, nanoxyl 9. Number 3, petroleum. Number 4, propylene glycol. Number 5, chlorhexidine gluconate. If you can't say it, don't use it. These kind of chemicals and ingredients can cause irritation and inflammation, and we don't want any of that happening around our genitals. Now, you can definitely opt for some other household ingredients as opposed to just going out to buy lube, but these things can possibly irritate your vag, so don't get too creative with it. Coconut oil can definitely help because I know that it is an anti-inflammatory and an antifungal and an antimicrobial and all this anti-shit that it's great for your body regardless. So coconut oil can be great, and I know that it can also be used to treat yeast infections, so that's cool. Olive oil was also on the list, but like olives? I don't know. See what works for you. Aloe vera was also put on that list, but like aloe from the plant sounds great and like, yeah, super slippery, but that shit stinks. Like, have you ever smelled raw, real aloe? Funky as fuck. So again, you know, you may want to go with something that was curated directly for your vulva, but if you want to get creative and you don't have the time to do that, you could try out these things. But hey, don't say that I told you to try it. I'm just putting out what I learned. Last but not least, I do have some favorite lubrications that I'd like to use, and I'm going to put them all down in my description below. So keep an eye out for those, and you can click the link and use the code LOVEATIYA to get 15% off of your purchase. But I want to share a story about how lubrication changed my life and how I realized, like, oh shit, like this is a game changer. Because I was a virgin for so long, it doesn't take a lot to arouse me, but it does take a small amount of things to turn me off as well. It's like such a flip side. And so I realized that in my own personal pleasure, you know, I love doing a lot of foreplay to myself before masturbating. And when I'm with a partner, I realized that some of my better experiences were when I used lube. Even when I was with my lesbian partner and we used the strap, get the strap, we used lubrication, water-based lubrication, and that was really great because it just was so helpful with like the friction. It was very, very helpful. But I learned that even when I used sex toys, penetration used to be very hard for me, and I didn't really quite feel as comfortable as I wanted to feel with it until I started using lube, and that's when my whole experience changed. One, it just added an extra oomph to the situation. I don't know, like I said, also just like the feasible thing of the lack of friction and like restraint, I guess, and it just went in my body easier. But also it was just the wetness that was just like, wow. And then trying to decipher like what's me and what's that, and then the combination, it was amazing. So I mean, it's a quick story time, didn't say much, but my point is that I loved it, and I love every experience that I've had with lube. I actually want to incorporate it more into my life, and there are so many new different kind of lubes that are coming out nowadays that, yeah, I'm down for it. And I just want to once again break the shame and stigma that if you are not able to produce your lubrication because of whatever reason, it's okay. There are like literal medical reasons why, and it doesn't mean that you're broken. It just means that there are certain things that maybe you can intake to help you with that, or you're just not producing that much cum, and that's okay. Like, you are literally okay, all right? I'm gonna do another video though as to what certain things can mean when it comes to vaginal dryness and what that can possibly tell you about your body. But you know, there's just this big stigma out there like, oh, if her pussy's dry, if her pussy's dry. And it's like, if her vagina is not as lubricated, then maybe there's something going on mentally. Maybe there's something going on physically. Maybe she's just not all that into you. And I know in the beginning of the video, I was like, it's not that you're not into your partner, but no, dead ass. Like, maybe sometimes you just aren't. You know what I'm saying? Like, sometimes you need foreplay. You need the buildup. And if you know how people with vulvas bodies really work, we need that buildup. So that's what I'll leave y'all with. Just pay attention to your partner if you are a person who is in a relationship with the person with the vulva, and see what they like. Work with them, and if you feel like it might be a problem, or if you feel like it might be something that you can heal naturally without feeling that shame, and just feel like, wow, maybe there is something hormonally off with me, or whatever the case may be, then we'll work through it in my next video where I talk about vaginal dryness and what it can mean. Okay? I love you all so much. I'm so grateful for you, and I can't wait for that episode. Stay tuned.